Listen, sometimes the coldest wake-up call you can give a man ain't anger, ain't arguing, begging. It's silence backed by elevation. Because when someone thinks you'll always be there, they stop paying attention. They stop appreciating the energy you bring, the love you offer, the consistency you stand on. But the moment you fall back, the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop showing up where you're unvalued, you shift the whole dynamic. That's when he realizes ghosting you is easy, replacing you ain't. Your absence has value more than you realize, more than you give yourself credit for. People talk about presence like it's the only thing that matters, but the truth is, absence speaks louder when it comes from someone who brought real energy, real love, real consistency. When you step back, when you fall silent, when you remove your access, that's when the world finally recognizes what you were offering the whole time. See, when you're always available, always answering, always showing up, people start thinking that's normal. They start thinking it's guaranteed. They start believing your effort is simply part of the background. They forget you make choices to care, choices to show up, choices to love them in ways they didn't even ask for. And that's exactly why your absence becomes powerful. It breaks the illusion. It reminds them that you were never an obligation, you were a blessing. A lot of people don't appreciate you when you're near. They only appreciate what you did when you're not doing it anymore. They don't hear your voice until it's missing from the day. They don't feel your support until they're standing alone. They don't value your consistency until their life gets quiet and empty without it. That's why stepping back is sometimes the most honest conversation you can have. It's the moment when your silence says everything your words couldn't make them understand. Your absence is a lesson, not a punishment, not revenge, a lesson. It teaches people that access to you ain't free. Your time ain't cheap. Your energy ain't replaceable. The way you care, the way you love, the way you show up, there's nobody else wired like you. People take that for granted until they have to live without it. They think you'll always answer, then one day you don't. They think you'll always forgive, then one day you don't. They think you'll always be patient, then one day you're silent and that silence hits different. When you walk away, you force people to do the math. They start calculating everything you brought to the table. They start replaying moments where you carried more than you should have. They start realizing that what they call normal was actually you going above and beyond. That's why your absence is so valuable. It exposes reality. But here's the part people don't talk about. Your absence isn't just for them. It's for you too. Stepping back gives you space to see things clearly. It lets you breathe, reset, and reconnect with yourself. You start remembering who you were before you tried so hard to be everything for someone else. You start realizing how much energy you were losing while trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. And in that silence, you rediscover your power. Your absence lets you build yourself again, piece by piece, stronger, smarter, more aware. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining your heart to people who are never listening. You move in a way that honors your spirit, not their confusion. That's the real value. It's the elevation that happens when you step away from people who didn't appreciate what they had. And the crazy part, the moment you level up, the same people who ignored your presence will come running for your absence. They'll want that old version of you back, the one that tolerated, forgave, overlooked, and poured endlessly. But that version doesn't exist anymore. You grew past her. Your absence forced you to evolve, and now your standards won't let you shrink for anybody. So don't fear stepping back. Don't fear going quiet. Don't fear letting people feel what life is like without you. Your absence is not emptiness. It's a message, a boundary, a reminder, a shift in the balance. And when people finally understand the weight of losing you, that's when your value becomes undeniable. Not because you shouted it, not because you demanded it, but because your absence made it impossible to forget. When someone ignores you, the first instinct a lot of people have is to chase, to text, to call, to beg, to explain, to demand attention, as if their silence is a crime you need to fix. But here's the truth. Nobody wants to admit chasing only lowers your value. It doesn't teach lessons. It doesn't shift behavior. It doesn't earn respect. All it does is reinforce the idea that your presence is optional, that your energy is free, that your worth can be bargained for. That's not power. That's weakness dressed up as desperation. You see, chasing someone who's ignoring you is like running after smoke. It slips through your fingers, it blinds you, it leaves you exhausted. You give away your energy to someone who doesn't see it, who doesn't deserve it, who isn't ready to match it. And while you're pouring yourself out, they're standing in the middle of it, indifferent, unbothered, unconcerned. Chasing doesn't change them. It only changes you, and it changes you in ways that make you smaller than you were before. The real power is in the opposite. The real strength is in patience, in quiet dignity, and walking away without fight. When someone ignores you, your response should not be louder than their silence. Your response should be to focus on yourself, to level up, to create a life so full that their absence doesn't matter. Because nothing teaches people the value of what they're losing faster than seeing you thrive without them. Seeing you rise while they sit stagnant, seeing you shine while they stand in the dark. That's education through action, not words. Chasing is a reaction. Leveling up is a strategy. One size comes from fear, from neediness, from the belief that your happiness depends on someone else. The other comes from self-awareness, from confidence, from knowing your value is not negotiable. When someone ignores you, you don't need to chase their attention. You need to chase your destiny. You need to chase the version of yourself that doesn't need validation from people who can't see your worth. Because when you operate from that place, the energy you emit is magnetic, pulls the right people towards you, and repels the ones who never belong. And understand this, the ones who ignore you are not ignoring you by accident. Their energy, their behavior, their choice to look past you is a reflection of their capacity, not your value. Chasing them won't change that. It won't wake an appreciation where none exists. It won't create connection where the foundation is missing. What it does is teach them that boundaries mean nothing, that effort means nothing, that your presence can be taken for granted. And once that happens, the lesson they were supposed to learn is lost forever. The art is in restraint. The art is in silence. And knowing that your attention is not a commodity to be wasted on people who won't reciprocate. When you stop chasing, the world notices. People notice. The universe notices. Because energy is felt. And when you withhold it from someone who doesn't respect it, the vibration shifts. Suddenly absence becomes louder than presence. Suddenly your quiet strength speaks in a language they can't ignore. Walking away or stepping back doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're petty or weak. It means you understand the rules of value. You understand that chasing after someone who doesn't value you only confirms their behavior, and that your power comes from protecting your energy, not giving it away. It means you're playing a long game, a game where your respect, your peace, your growth, and your success are the ultimate victories. Eventually, the ones who ignored you will feel the weight of your absence. They'll realize what they lost, but by then, it won't matter. By then, you'll already be elevated, already untouchable, already operating on a frequency they can't reach. And you'll understand that chasing never created that reality. Only patience, self-respect, and relentless focus on yourself did. So when someone ignores you, remember, chasing is the worst move you can make. It diminishes you, not them. It weakens your energy, not their indifference. Stand firm, step back, focus inward, build yourself, grow, thrive. Let your life be the loudest statement of your worth. Let them watch, let them feel, and let them learn the hard way that attention, love, and respect cannot be demanded, they must be earned. Silence is power. Most people don't understand it. They think speaking up, reacting, explaining, or arguing is the way to prove yourself. They think noise equals influence, that volume equals victory. But real influence, real strength comes from knowing when to speak and when to step back. Silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. It's a tool that when used right, commands respect, shifts energy, and teaches lessons without uttering a single word. When you stay silent, you make people think. You make them wonder. You create space for reflection. They start to feel the absence of your energy, the absence of your presence, the absence of your voice. And in that space, they can't help but confront reality. Silence forces them to recognize your value, your impact, your consistency. It forces them to see that what they took for granted isn't always going to be there. That's the power most people never tap into. They think silence is weakness, when in reality it's a form of control that nobody else can touch. Think about it. When someone ignores you, your first instinct might be to fill the void with words, explanations, or apologies. But every word you say in that moment dilutes your energy. Every explanation makes your value negotiable. Every apology teaches them that boundaries don't matter. But when you stay quiet, when you remove yourself from the chaos, Your absence and your silence speak volumes. People start noticing the difference. They start weighing the moments when you were present against the emptiness they're now forced to face. That contrast, that tension is the teacher. Silence is also protection. It shields your mind from unnecessary stress, from arguments that don't serve you, from people who aren't ready to respect your energy. Every time you resist the urge to react, you're saving power that can be invested back into yourself, your dreams, your goals, your purpose. You're building a version of yourself that doesn't rely on validation from people who don't see your worth. And in doing so, you start to operate on a level that most people can't touch. Silence is like armor. It keeps the weak energy out and preserves the strong energy within. And here's the thing most people don't get. Silence doesn't just affect others. It transforms you. When you step back, when you remove the noise, you create space for clarity. You start to see patterns you didn't notice before. You start to understand who's real, who's loyal, and who's only present when it benefits them. You start to align yourself with people, situations, and energies that actually matter. Silence teaches patience, discernment, and strategy. It teaches you that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every opinion deserves a response. And not every insult or slight deserves your energy. There's also a magnetic quality to silence. People are naturally drawn to what they can't fully grasp, to what they can't predict, to what they can't control. When you stop oversharing, when you stop chasing attention, when you stop reacting to every provocation, you become mysterious. You become untouchable. Your energy shifts from reactive to proactive. And in that shift, people start respecting you in ways words never could have earned. Silence becomes your presence multiplied. It becomes a force field that demands recognition without needing to explain itself. Silence is patience and timing. It's the understanding that the right moment carries more weight than constant commentary. It's the knowledge that actions speak louder than explanations. It's letting the world watch you build, evolve, and rise while it wonders what you're thinking, what you're planning, and what you'll do next. That curiosity alone commands respect. That quiet confidence alone shifts dynamics. Silence is not passive, it's calculated, it's deliberate. It's a power move that most people mistake for weakness because they don't have the patience, the discipline, or the self-respect to wield it. When you master silence, you master yourself. You learn when to give energy and when to withhold it. You learn that influence isn't created by noise, it's created by the weight of your presence and the intentionality of your absence. People start understanding that your time, your love, your attention, and your loyalty are not infinite. And once they feel that, they start valuing you differently. That's power, that's respect, that's influence. That's what it means to know your worth and to move in a way that nothing, no one, and no situation can shake. Silence is power, it's subtle, it's strong, and it's unstoppable. And the world has no choice but to notice it. Distance reveals real intentions. That's something most people only understand after they've been burned, after they've given too much, after they've been too available. When you're always around, always answering, always present, people get comfortable. They get lazy. They start thinking your energy, your love, your effort is theirs for the taking. But once you step back, once you create space, the truth comes out. Distance doesn't create problems, it exposes them. It shows who values you, who respects you, and who was only benefiting from your presence while taking your generosity for granted. See, most people wear a mask when they know you're near. They smile, they compliment, they agree, they promise. They show an image of care, loyalty, or interest. But masks don't stick when you're not there. When you step away, when you stop chasing, when you remove access, the mask starts to slip. Suddenly the conversation slows. Suddenly excuses appear. Suddenly the energy changes. That's the moment you see who's real and who's performing. Distance doesn't lie, it exposes. Distance also tests commitment. It's one thing to show up when it's convenient. It's another thing to show up when you're not being reminded, when you're not being chased, when you're not being pampered with attention. True intentions show an absent. Those who truly care, who truly value you, will find a way to maintain connection, to communicate, to bridge the gap. Those who don't, who are only comfortable in your proximity, will fade. They will make excuses. They will reveal that their interest was conditional, dependent on convenience, rather than genuine respect or investment. Distance is the litmus test that reveals character. And distance is powerful because it teaches perspective. It forces you to evaluate relationships through clarity, not emotion. When you're too close, you can overlook patterns, you can rationalize behavior, you can ignore red flags. Distance gives you space to see things as they are. You start noticing who's consistent, who only shows up when it suits them, who communicates with integrity, and who disappears when effort is required. You start understanding the difference between someone who wants you in their life and someone who wants what you provide. It's education through separation, clarity through space, wisdom through absence. Distance also protects your energy. By stepping back, you're not just testing others, you're conserving yourself. You're giving your time, your attention, your love to yourself first. You're learning to prioritize your growth, your peace, and your purpose over validation from people who don't match your frequency. That alone attracts the right kind of people, those whose intentions are pure, whose respect is genuine, and whose presence is intentional. Distance filters out the noise and leaves only what's real. It's important to remember that distance isn't passive. It isn't about being cold, distant for no reason or punishing people. It's active strategy. It's conscious choice. It's saying, I know my value. I know my worth. I'm going to give my energy where it's appreciated and received. In doing so, you start revealing the true colors of everyone around you. People who care will reach. People who didn't will remain absent. And that truth, though uncomfortable, is priceless. It allows you to stop wasting time on people who are never aligned with your journey. And it gives you the space to invest in what matters most, yourself, your growth, and the relationships that are genuine. Distance also creates desire, understanding, and respect. When someone is too used to access, they underestimate your value. But when you step back, they begin to feel the weight of your absence. They start noticing the small things, the consistency you had, the energy you brought, the way you elevated their life without them asking. They begin to understand that what they had wasn't guaranteed. And even if they never change, the lesson is yours. Distance revealed the truth, and truth always wins in the end. Ultimately, distance is a mirror. It reflects intentions, character, and priorities. It separates the people who are there for you from the people who are there for themselves. It forces clarity where confusion once lived. And in that clarity, you find freedom, the freedom to protect your energy, the freedom to raise your standards, and the freedom to let go of anyone who isn't aligned with the real you. Distance doesn't just reveal intentions, it defines who belongs in your life and who was never meant to be there. And once you see it, nothing can blind you to the truth again. Self-upgrade is the ultimate lesson. Most people spend their lives looking for answers outside of themselves, searching for validation, chasing attention, hoping someone else will recognize their worth. But the truth is, the real growth, the real power, the real respect comes from within. When you invest in yourself, when you sharpen your skills, when you elevate your mind, body, and spirit, you send a message louder than words ever could. Self-upgrade teaches people without having to teach them directly, and it transforms your life in ways that nobody can take away. See, too often we get caught up in proving ourselves to the wrong people. We bend over backwards, explain ourselves endlessly, try to earn appreciation from people who are never going to give it. We waste energy chasing recognition from people who don't see our value. But self-upgrade flips the script. It says, I'm not waiting for you to notice me. I'm building me, whether you acknowledge it or not. And that's a lesson that hits harder than confrontation, harder than anger, harder than argument, because growth is undeniable. Success is visible. Progress can't be ignored. And when you focus on upgrading yourself, people finally see what they were missing. Self-upgrade isn't just about material gains, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's about leveling up your mindset so that negativity can't touch you. It's about strengthening your discipline so that laziness, doubt, or distraction don't derail you. It's about refining your habits so that every action you take brings you closer to your purpose. When you upgrade yourself in this way, you create a life where your value isn't dependent on anyone else's opinion. Your peace, your confidence, and your achievements become proof of your worth, and no one can take that away. And here's the beauty of self-upgrade. It forces reflection. It forces people around you to evaluate their role in your life. When they see you evolving, growing, and succeeding, while they're stagnant, they start questioning their own intention. They start realizing they either step up or step aside. They begin to understand the price of underestimating you, ignoring you, or holding you back. Your self-upgrade becomes a silent teacher, revealing truths that words could never communicate. Self-upgrade also teaches patience and resilience. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and consistency. You face obstacles, distractions, and setbacks, but every challenge becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes an opportunity, and every day you rise is proof that you're leveling up. People who ignored you, doubted you, or dismissed you start to notice the change, but it's not about making them notice. It's about proving to yourself that you can evolve regardless of the environment, regardless of approval, regardless of recognition. The ultimate lesson in self-upgrade is you realizing that your power comes from your own hands. You don't need someone to validate your worth. You don't need someone to show up to make your life better. You don't need permission to grow. Every step you take toward improving yourself builds momentum. Every skill you master, every habit you form, every mindset you refine compounds. And eventually the person you become is unrecognizable to the one who tried to ignore or underestimate you. That's the lesson they learned too late. You were never theirs to control. You were never theirs to diminish, and your growth cannot be contained. Self-upgrade also creates freedom. Freedom from toxic attachments, freedom from reliance on approval, freedom from stagnation. It allows you to attract people and opportunities that match your level rather than settling for what's convenient. You become magnetic, not because you're chasing, but because your energy, focus, and discipline radiate. People who are aligned will rise with you, and those who aren't will reveal themselves. Your upgrade filters out the noise and makes your life about quality over quantity, about substance over surface, and about legacy over momentary satisfaction. And ultimately, self-upgrade is the ultimate lesson because it teaches the world who you really are without having to explain it. It doesn't rely on arguments, confrontations, or ultimatums. Your progress, your success, your discipline, your peace, all of it becomes undeniable proof. People learn your worth by watching your evolution. And the beauty of it is the ones who doubted, ignored, or underestimated you, by the time they realize it, the lesson is already complete. You've moved past them. You've grown beyond them. You've leveled up in a way that can't be undone. Self-upgrade is the ultimate lesson because it proves that your life is yours to command. Your worth is yours to define. Your power is yours to cultivate. And in the end, the only validation you need is the one you give yourself. Every step forward, every improvement, every evolution is a silent, unstoppable answer to anyone who ever doubted your value. It's a lesson you live, not a lesson you teach. And that makes it eternal. So if he ignored you, don't break down, break through. Let your growth be the bill he never saw coming. Let your success be the silence that speaks for you. Let your elevation be the reminder that losing you ain't something a man gets over easily. Because the real price of ignoring you is realizing too late that you were the blessing he wasn't wise enough to cherish. Stand tall, stay focused, and let your glow teach the lesson. Words never could.